How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I'm going to go and do this contract called Restoring the Railroad Tracks. So now I've kind of delivered the water there and put all the fires out on that at the rail station. Yeah, there's a contract where obviously, got to go and deliver some railroad tracks, and I had quite a few comments, and it was making sense. This mission seems to be a little bit iffy, and I think a little bit different, possibly based from like the PC to the PlayStation. For a start, you've got to. I'm going to drive like kind of along the most southern road, really. You've got to go kind of all the way to the bottom left-hand corner, and there's the mine there, and then yeah, collect the rails from there. And the thing with this mission, there's a sideboard semi-trailer already at the mine, which kind of hints that you could use that for the rails. But it also, you can see in like the mission description on the left that it doesn't say anything about you need a truck with a crane. So yeah, there's a few different people who said in the comments like over the last couple of days that they've done this mission, and there's like a couple of little hiccups. Like for one, obviously, some people went there without a crane because they assumed it'd be like automatically loaded onto the trailer, since the mission doesn't say anything about needing it. And the other thing I was hearing was that it wouldn't let you put it on the small trailers. You needed the big wide. I can't remember what it's called, but it's some kind of wide body trailer. It's like the one. It looks a little bit like this step deck, but it's for the saddle high attachment. So yeah, in the end, I wanted to go and test a few things out. So right now is like me actually doing the mission. I was sort of going there. I'd already been there. I can't even remember now. 3 or 4 times already. Taking different trailers just to try a couple of different things out. And in the end, well, as you can kind of tell from the fact that I'm taking this trailer for the actual mission, it will pack onto this step deck. There's a couple of other trailers it works on, but kind of most importantly, it definitely doesn't work on the sideboard semi-trailer that's already at the mine. So I don't know, it's a little bit of a red herring or whatever. I don't know if there's like another contract sort of later on in the game where it makes sense to use that sort of sideboard semi-trailer, but again, either way, the mission's a little bit sort of nondescript and confusing because that trailer is there and looks like the obvious choice, and yeah, the fact that it doesn't say anything about a crane, even though the cranes are horrifically weak these days, they're kind of struggling quite a bit just to lift the rails. Yeah, that corner there, I kept like every time I went round it tonight, I kept going wide and hitting that bloody telegraph pole. Overall though, it's actually quite a nice road to run on in the end. And yeah, for this one I took out the Tayga, I can't remember the code, it's 6455B maybe, springs to mind, but I could be wrong. I just call it, I think, Tony the Tayga. Yeah, taking that, I was kind of using this to kind of do the trial runs on the missions. That's why I didn't end up doing a video yesterday, because I just felt pretty rough, had a banging headache and that. By the time that kind of went, I probably had enough time if I just quickly grabbed the trailer and went and did this mission, but yeah, as I'd heard quite a few different things about it, I actually wanted to sort of have enough time to go back and forth with a couple of trailers and actually see what's going on, sort of test out what's working and what isn't. So yeah, I just sort of ran out of time to be able to get all that sort of done, and yeah, I wanted to test it out really, so I gave myself a bit of extra time, and like I say, tonight I had enough time to go and test it out. And in the end, I'd say this was a pretty decent truck choice to use for it, to be honest. This truck as well, it's kind of, I was trying to think, did we get it in phase 7? Because it is actually like a very good truck, but it sort of came and went without much fanfare really. It just kind of, we got it as a truck, but I don't know, I'm pretty sure it was phase 7, because that Burning Mill map was, yeah, by the time you even really got started and sort of started to get stuck into the map, it was about done on like the amount of content with it. So yeah, I just think like I probably didn't end up using this truck all that much, and I don't know, it never really had much of a chance to kind of put in some good work and actually see how well it does. But yeah, I've always liked it since we've had it, but I just I sort of don't remember it. Like for example, when we got the Zik 605R, that was a lot more prominent because it like served a pretty good purpose on that. Was it phase 4, like the Amur region, and that was, yeah, a bit of a nightmare, a bit of a rough region, that one. It's still good. There's certain maps I liked, certain ones were a bit less meh. But yeah, because that was like such a brutal map or region, the Zix kind of shined on that one. Whereas yeah, I think the Phase 7 just kind of happened. I can't even remember if this definitely was Phase 7, but I just don't remember using it a hell of a lot. In fact, it might have been main we got it on. I can't even remember getting it on main. I'm just trying to think. I'm sure I might have been using the there was someone did a mod of this Tayga that was able to lay bridges, and I think I might have used that on Phase 6 actually. God knows. Losing me marbles. So it's been snowing here as well today, which was pretty nice. Not too much snow. It was going pretty well at about 8 at night or something. It was like, there was a good inch or two on the ground, and it was snowing, not heavily, but pretty decently, pretty consistently. But then yeah, about an hour later it sort of stopped snowing, and again, there's a few inches on the ground, but not, it's kind of, not really melting, but just sort of settling. It was really nice snow as well. I had to go, I just went into my granddad's flat to check his flat and put a radiator on just in case it gets too cold in there. And yeah, I had to go and walk on the fresh snow. I hate it. You know when you got a nice blanket of snow and no one's touched it? I hate being the one that has to stick a load of footprints in it. But yeah, I was trying to get my cat down to the front door because he's just an antisocial weirdo. He doesn't like going anywhere near the outdoors, which is funny because most other cats, like my last cat I had when I moved here, he just would live at the door meowing to go out. I was supposed to keep him in for like the first week or whatever, but yeah, he knew straight away. Whereas my cat, he doesn't care. He sees the outdoors, he stares at it from the top of the stairs, and that's about it. I couldn't get him down to the front door in the end, so I've got like a little snowball's worth of snow, took it up to him. And yeah, it was really like, if you wanted to build a snowman, this was the stuff. But I wasn't building a snowman, too cold for that. I remember when I was a kid, and it used to snow and you get a chance to build a snowman or whatever, I'd be saying to like my mum or something, yeah, like, come out and make a snowman with us. She's like, nah, you kids carry on. And you sort of think like, what? How could you turn down the chance to make a snowman? And then now it's like, hell no. Got the same similar ideas as my cat. Stare at it from the top of the stairs, and that's about it. But it was pretty nice. Normally when we've had a bit of snow, it's kind of all frosty and crap, but yeah, this was the real deal stuff. Well, it's still pretty chilly. I'd still prefer it warmed up a bit, to be honest, but if it's going to be cold, the snow is pretty cool. And all the roads are pretty clear, so it's not really hassling anyone. It's just, yeah, looks nice. Don't get to see it too often. But yeah, anyway, yeah, back to this game. Like this Tayga, like I say, definitely worth bringing, because in the high gear, this game, it's or this region, it's like they're quite big regions and that, and it's one of them I've found, like that new Derry, the Derry Special 15C. There's a lot I do like about it. I think it's a good addition to the game, just because it's like a, yeah, bit of a bigger truck. It's just better than the normal vehicles. To be honest, more like this. It's just a kind of generic shaped six-wheeled vehicle. And it's got bigger tyres, it's got like crane sideboard, and you can have a trailer and that as well. But just overall, it's feeling a little bit slow on this map, because there is generally like you got to sort of cross from one end of the map to the other quite a bit, which is fine. Like I say, it's a nice drive in vehicles like this. But it, yeah, it just feels like a little bit slow in that Derry. So you can see a sideboard semi-trailer I parked there that I brought here to test it out. You'll also see on the right now there's like a step deck and a ramped flatbed. I also brought them to test them out. There's the sideboard semi-trailer that is already on the game. That it, I mean, you can see it's, you know, a trailer length away from the rails, so it kind of implies that you'd probably borrow that trailer. But yeah, don't, because it doesn't fit. I'll show you in a sec. Like, I'm just parking up now, and the best advice I'd say is run your trailer alongside it like that, because then you can detach your trailer and then reverse your truck like in between, because the cranes are just so weak these days. It can just about at a push lift these rails, but it's only when the crane's fully retracted, and quite often if you even extend it a little bit, it just does that thing in the game where it like then fully auto extends the crane like on its own without you telling it to, and then at full extension the thing you're carrying is too heavy, so it then just slams it down on the ground. So yeah, I tried parking kind of my trailer right next to the rails and reached over the trailer, but it just wasn't having it. So in the end it was best to just do it like this. And yeah, I'd still say though, these are a little bit awkward because you'll see. Getting them on here, they're a 4 slot now, not a 5 slot. I think, I'm sure on phase 7 we had something. Oh no, was that? I can't remember actually. That might have been the system and things or something. I can't remember. I'm sure we've had some different size rails. It kind of looks on the trailer a little bit like it'd be more like a 3 slot, but it must be sort of 3.5 or whatever, and it's yeah, counting as 4. But you can see here, connect the trailer back up, go down to pack cargo, and it does actually pack on this trailer, although it does sit wider than the actual trailer. And again, in a second I've got a little bit of footage of kind of each trailer, just showing you what was going on with it. Oh yeah, and as well, when I drove into this yard, does anyone know please what this blue square is? Because I drove through it and it said stage completed, but it's not to do with this mission or contract. It must be another mission I've picked up at some point, and that's one of the things, but now I can't tell what it is, so I don't know if later on I'll do a video for a mission and I'll end up missing out that part. But yeah, here's me trying out a sideboard semi-trailer. I brought my own one just because, in case I didn't want to use that one. Yeah, you can see it's clearly too wide to fit in there. Yeah, that's definitely what she said. Yeah, and it just, when you go to pack it, it just says impossible to pack. I was able though, I brought a ramped flatbed with me as well, and that actually will let you pack it, so it's going to use all 4 slots on the trailer, but it fits, it works, so that's another option. And then obviously I did bring a sideboard, sorry, the step deck trailer, but as that's in my actual mission footage, I didn't bother doing the video. I was just showing quickly because I was trying to park this nice and neatly, and obviously they're an absolute joke to park, especially like with the non-mod version, Fox's mod, so we can't lock the dolly axle. An easier way, if you just want to line them up neatly, yeah, just kind of winch it from the side of your truck to the side of the trailer and just make the winch so short that it sort of has no choice but to follow where your truck reverses. So that's how I was able to park it so neatly. Yeah, and then this is back now to the normal mission footage. Like I say, yeah, it's on the step deck. And then now for the second part, once you've actually picked the rail tracks up, you've got to go, yeah, up to the top left of the map to the rail yard. And in the end for this one, I follow along this normal path, but now you'd sort of peel off to this main road, go round here, and then probably jump over there and carry on as normal. But I just kind of spotted it as a route as I kept going back and forth, so I was curious to go up here. There is actually another one. I could have just gone straight ahead there, which was probably the better option in the long run. I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, there just ended up being like some little roads going off to the side, sort of running along cliffs and stuff, so I was a bit curious. And as this truck felt like it was doing pretty decently, it was pulling the trailer and, you know, travelling along the map pretty well. I'm able to just sit quite comfortably in high gear, so that's enough for me. I mean, driving along these sort of roads, it's not like I'd probably want to be in 8th out of 8th in auto. There's certain sections when you've got a bit of a straight run that I wouldn't say no to the option, although the game seems to be very fussy about letting you in a kind of above 5th gear-ish now. But yeah, for roads like this, stick it in high gear, I'm happy with this pace. And that's what I mean with that Derry. Just, again, most things about it is a good truck. I think overall it'd probably be better if they just put a high range gearbox in it, so you'd actually kind of have quite a nice pace going to it. I didn't attempt it, but I assume if I did this mission, well, no, I could still do this mission because I could take the saddle high wide trailer thing. But I was going to say, obviously you can't have a saddle low on the Derry, so I wouldn't have been able to bring like this step deck, for example. But the wide thing trailer is basically like a bigger version of this step deck. So now's where I could have gone straight on, but I've now turned left to go up these cliffs, and I didn't really think it'd struggle really. I mean, the tyres are still spinning, and the climb up here is more like rocks, which are always just awkward with this game, getting a grip. You can kind of see I'm clawing around a bit. And this is where I don't know for certain. I suppose it'd be nice to come back with the same truck, but the chain tyres on, because I kind of feel like bits like there, the chain just bite in and onto the rocks a little better and sort of climb up the little ledges, whereas all these different mud tyres sort of, they just seem to act like slicks once you're actually trying to climb up rocks and that. They don't really dig in or anything, even though the tread pattern looks like it's all a sort of off-roading tyre, but in this game it just sort of acts more like it's coded like a smooth surface, so it doesn't really dig into anything, whereas the chain feel like they do a bit. So yeah, I was able to get it to about here, but it was struggling to get any higher up. And again, the wheel's spinning, so there's enough power. It's not like it's running out of power. It's just, yeah, basically grip. But I've got these muds on. I think they're the number 2 set or something. They're actually pretty good. They've been in the game since the start, I think. And yeah, as mud sets, they're definitely pretty decent. But they're not a fan of these rocks. So in the end, luckily, there's like a tree kind of halfway buried into the mountain, but it's pretty much in the middle of the road, so I was able to hoist my way up to this point. And I think now as well, the angle of the trailer is kind of like, the trailer itself sits quite low, so it might be beaching itself a little bit, which is probably not helping. Thankfully though, that first tree got me high enough now that I was able to reach this next tree. And claw my way up there a bit more. Again, I think the trailer's beaching, and kind of now it's just about getting back onto its rear axles. But it definitely felt like the it was, yeah, the truck was, I'd say, struggling a bit. Yeah, it was probably more grip, but it wasn't too keen about that section. And then when I got back up to here, I mean, even now I went into, yeah, high gear, and it might have just been the wobbling side to side there, but it kicked me out high gear, which I don't think it did at any other point. But eventually got the wound the power back up, got it into high gear, and dropped my hammer. Shook me loaf a little bit there. And then yeah, like I said, this cliff route I just took was probably kind of pointless. If I'd carried straight on instead of turning up here, I would have kind of popped out on this road from the right, now going left. Tried to go a bit wide to help the trailer, but in the end I don't really know. If it did too much, still looks like it's going to catch the rocks on the inside. Then I kind of steered right there to bump my right tyres on the rocks, because it looked like I was fairly close, could have tipped there. And yeah, again, there's a lot of rocks going down here. You can just see there's just not a lot of grip to build your speed and momentum up really on them. They've never really gelled too well with the game. I'd quite like more rocky cliffs and stuff like that going on, but yeah, until they add more like pure rock grip into the tyres in this game, then it's a little bit sketchy. Like climbing up those rocks to the left of me, even in any trucks that have got like big fat off-roading tyres and all that, they yeah, struggle quite a lot. Still say the Lo4f is a goddamn professional though. He has been witnessed on video climbing quite a few pretty hefty rock cliffs edges, like just all sorts of stuff. Goddamn professional. Overall though, this road was actually not too bad. You can see, I mean, I'm pretty happy. I'm still in high gear, so I'll take it. It's a pretty decent pace. I'm sure now at some point pretty soon I get a fat bit of damage. Yeah, there's 104 on the suspension and 44 on the tyre. Was enough to blow a tyre. But for the most part, it's still trekking along. So yeah, it was just a different route to use instead of the main route. Really, I didn't need to, but I took the chances. I was kind of half curious as well to see how brutal the road was. If it was like a complete, you know, just super mud the whole way and forcing you into first gear and all that, yeah, I certainly wouldn't be using it again. But overall, it actually seemed like quite a nice route. If you got a decent truck that can kind of handle the challenge, then yeah, it wasn't too bad. Thankfully, I have got the goddamn horse with me, because as I said, I did blow a tyre in the end, so I need some spares and repairs from him. And then I fixed the tyre. I didn't fix the suspension in the end, just because it's just more points for the game to delete off it. It's only going to end up broken if I damage it enough anyway, but at least at this point there's like 107 points left on it or whatever. So the most it could take off me is 107. If I fixed it back to 280 or whatever it was, then yeah, it's just the game could troll me, clip a snail shell going along the ground, and then decide to take the whole suspension off. Took a little while to get it back in high gear there, but not too bad. A bit more damage. So I'm now to the left of me is like basically where the gateway to Burned Forest is, and that's where my P512 PF and my Lo4f were. But I had to send him in the other day to give me some fuel for the Navistar. And this track, I find along this section where you got the water, if you just run it along the right hand edge, drop it into high gear, and it still had enough oomph to it to get me through there in high, which again I like to maintain that pace. There's the P512 PF and Lo4f. Yeah, these last little bit of rows, again you can see I'm sort of zigzagging from side to side, but generally if you follow the ruts in the road on this bit, it kind of tries to slow down, starts becoming more like super mud, but if you just cut along the edges you can kind of avoid most of that. And then yeah, we're here to the rail yard. There's my two Navistars and my two dolphins up ahead. So I was looking around, I can't see any like broken pieces of rail or anything. Obviously it's sort of saying you got to bring this here to fix it up. And when I drop it off, it doesn't do any animation or anything, it just takes it off you. Obviously the yellow square I'm parked in at the minute, it just disappears and then it says mission done, but I didn't actually see it like fix anything specifically. But yeah, at least it's done. Panning the camera around just to see if I could sort of notice anything different going on. I even watched the footage back when I was editing this, and yeah, I can't tell any difference going on. Is it 9,100 in money or something, which is, overall, it was actually quite a nice mission. And there's, yeah, like 1,000 XP or something. Just think, like, we don't use the XP anymore. Someone's job is to pick an amount of XP to give for each mission, even though it basically means sod all these days, because unless you've just got the game, pretty much all of us are, yeah, long been level 30. I thought I was able to drive all the way around this building. I was just like, oh, there's a building in the way, so excuse me, fence. No offence. Lo4f goes where Lo4f wants to go. The game will not stop me. And then yeah, the reason I'm looping around is because once you do this mission and you deliver the rail track, you unlock a warehouse at the rail yard, and as you can see, it's like bricks, metal rolls and metal pipes are the main thing, and small pipes as well, I suppose, or metal beams. It's all unlimited cargo though, which is nice because, yeah, I kind of get a bit wary of the limited cargo warehouses we get. So yeah, it's worth doing. It's a good one to unlock, really. Parked it up next to me dolphins and other Lo4f. And yeah, that's about it for today. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope it helps. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my Patreon members. Get yourself a Lo4f, and I'll be back soon.